All right, so tell me about the Alluring story.
Well, it was round 3 of the tournament, I think. I only had 2 buys, and I'm playing against Zoo, and he has a Nicodle, a Pride Mage, which is bad news. Pride Mage is bad. And 4 lands, 2 cards. I have 2 Havenwood Battlegrounds, which suck. Don't play with those. An island. In my hand is Alluring, Intuition, Force of Will, Imperial Recruiter, and Eternal Witness. Or no, not Intuition, Brainstorm. So he casts Knight of the Reliquary with 1 card. I'm at 6 life, and I think that next turn, when he attacks with all of his guys, I want to like cast Alluring on my turn, obviously, then play Witness, get back my birds, try and trade this Pride Mage, and then when he sacks it to kill my Alluring, then try and go off. But I think his last card is a Fire Blast, and he has a Sylvan Library also, so he's going to see a bunch of cards next turn, and I feel like I'm just going to get burnt out. You know, there's a very high chance of me just dying. So I still make this terrible play where I force his Knight and then stick to the Witness my bird plan. So I force his Knight, untap, play Alluring off my 2 Battlegrounds, play Witness, target Brainstorm, and I have 2 cards left. And he just hems and haws and just like, what are the odds that, you know, one of your 2 cards is Recruiter? And he's like, I'll just risk it. And he kills my Alluring. And so I Recruiter in response and kill him. And what he could have just done was like wait for my Recruiter, you know, it's probably what he should have done, especially if his card was Fire Blast, which it was. And then it puts the pressure on me instead of like if I have it, he just dies. But my friend Bobby Graves was watching, and he's like, now I don't know if your play was 100% correct or not. Maybe there's a better play you could have made. And then he tells me a play that I could have made which would have 100% ensured my victory. I'm like, yeah, Bobby, that probably sounds like a good play. So what I should have done was let his Knight resolve, untap, play Alluring off my Battlegrounds, play Recruiter. In response, he kills my Alluring, and then Force of Will my own Recruiter, and then Witness it back and play it. So obviously that's the best play ever. What my opponent could do to circumvent that is wait until the Recruiter's coming to plays on the stack. But no one is going to do that. You know, like you cast a spell, they respond to the spell for sure. But also, if he knows what's in my deck, like he's just losing to Dreamstalker instead of like Force of Will, blue card, and Witness. So, I mean, I think that play is just, first of all, absurd. It's amazing. And the fact that he saw it, just like watching, never played the deck before, is insane to me. You know, Bobby's awesome. And I feel really stupid for not knowing that.
You feel like, are you kidding me? That is like so many levels of like triggers and stacks.
He's like, what you did was okay because you made your opponent kill your thing and then you won. So, you know, good job, you won. It's like, but maybe instead of like your 20% shot to win, you could have had 100%. He's like, is that something you might be interested in? I'm like, yes, sign me up. Yeah.
That's amazing. That deck is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That deck is unreal.
It's pretty good.
Wow.
Well, right. what my opponent could have done is like not play his Pride Mage and then hold it for when I play Alluring. But you know, that's a lot of my opponents haven't done that. A few of them have done it, and I've been kind of upset that they know like how my deck works and how they're supposed to play against me. So, rats.
Yeah, it's a survival of the fittest deck. That I mean, Fauna Shaman's a great new addition because one of the problems with survival decks is that when they don't have a survival, they're kind of bad. You know, they're awesome whenever they have it. Now, Fauna Shaman's nowhere near as good as a survival, but it does a pretty good job. I mean, if you get to like, especially since you can Violet down, if you discard, you know, on your opponent's turn to go get Iona and then untap and discard Iona to get Loyal Retainer and then play it, it does the job. You know, it just takes 2 turns instead of 1. And then Cabal Therapy is actually a surprisingly important part too, because I Cabal Therapy myself all the time. Yeah, I just always name Emrakul the Aeon's Torn or Iona Shield of Emeria. And as I anticipate, one of the reasons I played the deck I did today is because I anticipated that almost nobody in the tournament would realize how Loyal Retainers and Emrakul work. It's just kind of fun to have some technology that people don't even know exists. I mean, first, half the people don't even know that Loyal Retainers is a magic card. And then second, that you can even do it with Emrakul, you know, because Emrakul says you shuffle it back, but Loyal Retainers says you may, it's like in Portal language where if you want, you can destroy this itself to enter the heart of the kingdom and put Emrakul into the... see more about the deck.
It does powerful things.
What's that?
So it does powerful things.
Yeah, and lots of bullets, you know, usual survival type stuff. But instead of Vengevines and Basking Root Walls and whatnot, mostly I just try to hit people with Emrakuls and Ionas. My last opponent, I had to go off twice to beat his 2 Relic of Progenesis. Like, I have to go off in response. And the trick about Emrakul is that you can just Felden's Cane at will with survival. So when he tries to relic your graveyard, you Emrakul, shuffle everything back, and then he'll relic, and you Emrakul, shuffle everything back, because you can keep Emrakuling, you know? You just have to wait so he doesn't catch you with both relics. And after that, I made a few Emrakuls. I kept bouncing it with Jace. Eventually, Emrakul had to get anger so they could attack Jace. But it's really hard to stop the first 4 Emrakuls, but he did.
Wow. Only in Legacy, right?
Yeah. It's pretty unreal. Legacy is the format where the 5th Emrakul is the one that gets him.
I really like that card. I love that card. I like that card so much. Here's my pitch to Wizards of the Coast. If there's ever an invitational again, and I'm invited and I win, I want the holiday promo. And I want the holiday promo to be Imperial Regifter. And Imperial Regifter is a 1/1 for 2 colorless and a red with the same art, except for he's got like a box and it's my face like. And you search your opponent's library for a creature with power 2 or less and put it in your hand and then shuffle their library. I think that would be awesome.
I mean, basically what he's saying is true, you know, like, these people operate in sort of like circular logic type thing where there's like 3 or 4 decks, and then every week the wheel just kind of moves, like this is the best deck, and it just keeps moving and moving. People like don't make new decks. They just like switch from deck to deck to deck to deck. They don't change anything. I look at all the lists from all the daily events, all the premier events, and like of all the formats too, you know, just because like I like to see what's going on. If there's like a cool popper deck, like maybe I'll buy it or whatever. But you know, these guys jam the same Jund deck in every tournament, the same blue-white deck, and it's like your deck is not perfect. You know, you went 3-1 or whatever. Like you lost a match, something went wrong, and why don't you change anything? It doesn't make any sense. So instead of like people constantly trying new things, or like even just trying new cards, not even necessarily new decks, like change your sideboard up, you know, like swap out 6 cards, like see if it makes a difference, like try a different sideboard plan, you know, stuff like that. But people just don't do it. I don't know if it's just like laziness or like they don't want to buy Flash Freeze or something, so they're just like, I'll keep playing Firewalker even though no one's playing Mono Red, you know, whatever. It just doesn't make any sense to me, you know. I'm constantly in there like deck builder open and just like, you know, moving things in and out and like refreshing my memory of like what cards are in the format, like just like looking through all the lists. And I don't know, man. I wish someone could explain to me like what's going on, because I really can't fathom what's going through their mind, you know what I mean?
Well, I think it's because, you know, I think people look to you as one of the best deck builders today in the game, like, because you do
Sure,
this
but
stuff.
even still, like, I mean, I see people, well, people like don't just copy my list. Like, very few people are like, you know, jamming my Jund deck that I wrote about. Like, there's definitely some. I've seen a lot of lists that look incredibly similar to mine, but I mean, what else? You know, like they build their own deck, but then they're just like confident that what they're doing is right, or they're just attached to those cards, or it could be any number of things, you know, and I'm not really sure. Like, I'm sure it's different from person to person, but people just need to change more cards and play with different things and learn like why those ideas are good or bad or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they'll start thinking for themselves more, and then they'll be more comfortable like changing cards, or, you know.
Yeah, I think it's risky. I think it feels risky for people to say, like, I don't want to buy XYZ cards in case they don't work out, so
yeah,
I'll think about them.
And that's fair, especially with Magic Online, you know, like, you can't afford to be like buying and selling cards at a loss, and then joining like a daily event for 6 or 10 tickets or whatever it is, and then going 2 and 2, and then having to go back to your stuff. You know, like, you have to keep winning on Magic Online. So maybe that's what it is. If they're like 3-1ing every time, they're just like, well, I can't change anything. You know, like, I'm too scared. I want to make sure I 3-1 again so they can play again. So I mean, that could be part of it. But I mean, if you're good enough to like 3-1 a daily event, you can change some cards. Like, you're probably good enough to 3-1 again regardless. So have some confidence, I guess.
Is it about sort of working with what's there and tweaking it, or is it about sort of making new things like Mass Polymorph? No one's done anything with that card. Is that
card, isn't that like Tooth and Nail?
That's insane.
Isn't that the same thing? You know, that card seems good. But yeah, I think there's 2 different variations of it, where like someone is like, I want to play blue-white control, or I want to play Jund, and then they don't change anything in their deck, and then the people that like maybe tune a few cards. It's like you can change, you know, 5 or 10 cards every time you sign up for a new tournament, or you can just try and sign up for every tournament with a new deck, and then, you know, go from there. Like, there's like, I think those 2 degrees, and I'm more of a fan of like the new deck, But like once a format gets fleshed out, then I just keep changing cards in a certain list, and then if the format shifts where a different deck is good, like I'll play that deck, change some cards, whatever. But
So for standard, yeah, it's pretty huge. I mean, Jund is officially just a deck now, I think, instead of being the deck. It's Sun Titan has, like, last week with French Nationals, I guess that was 2 weeks ago by the time people see this probably, but Sun Titan got pretty big. Fauna Shaman's definitely a player. Then Destructive Force is, it was one of my picks for, an undervalued card and a card that just is very good. So, and it's starting to be. Primeval Titan also performing pretty well. So M11 has not only new archetypes with like Titans and Destructive Forces and stuff, it also has really good upgrades to existing decks, like adding Mana Leak to any of the blue-based decks, Fauna Shaman to the Naya deck. So it was a success in that regard. It was very good. Like it had a lot. I think it had more impact than M10 did. M10 introduced Baneslayer and Lightning Bolt, which were both obviously huge, but M11 has spawned like completely new archetypes because there's cards like Destructive Force and Primeval Titan that you just kind of get to build around. So it's pretty cool.
So do you have anything out there for your Adam Yurchik fan club? What?
Nothing. That's it. This interview is enough.
This interview is not enough. They need more Adam Yurchik.
They need more Ricky Hayashi.
What are you doing, Evan? You're acting. It's Attack of the Magic show.
That's right.
I always like the fatties.